Spring is popping out all over, and it's time for spring cleaning. Be sure you don't forget your ductwork. Call Premier Heating and Air today and clear the dust from your ducts and keep your unit running smoothly. Through the end of April, receive a free indoor air treatment system with the price of a whole home duct cleaning. And with temperatures heating up, make sure you keep your cool with a $49 AC checkup special. Need a new unit? Get up to $2,000 off qualifying systems. Schedule a visit and get a quote today at premierishere.com. The choice is clear. Choose Premier. Premier Heating and Air, a locally owned and operated company. Offer ends April 30th.
Welcome everybody. I'm glad to have with me today Chris Bracewell, and I'm really glad to have him here today because Chris, every time I mention your name, and if you don't know Chris, he's worked with the Lawrence County Sheriff Department for many your life changed last October, didn't it?
It did. It changed drastically, James.
You were in an automobile accident in South Georgia, and so we can kind of set things up. Tell us, I know you don't remember that day, but things you've been told. Tell me what happened that day.
Well, me and my brother was driving down to Fly-In Thomasville. We spent the night with a friend of ours down there the night before, and believe it or not, he brought us 3 black cups of coffee. And I told him, bro, I don't drink black coffee. He said, what do you drink? I said, Circle K. So we was out looking. He said, all right, I'll take it. And he did this, you know, I guess the whole thing could be pointed toward me with the wreck and all. He was helping me find a Circle K. And we come up to an intersection, an angled intersection. We stopped, there was detour signs all around. And from what I was told, we was T-boned. I don't have any details about what happened or anything. From the point of the wreck, I guess, before I left to pack to go home, I don't remember anything. Don't remember anything about the wreck. The only thing I know is what I was told, James. I was told that they took me to Valdosta. The MTs took me to Valdosta, to Lowndes County. We was in Brooks County, I believe. And they had to take my spleen out in Valdosta. I bled out. I bled 32 liters of blood. More in Terry Cobb, which is with the EMS here, he said, you know, usually they don't keep that much blood on hand. And they took my spleen out in Valdosta. I stayed in Valdosta less than a day, and well, pretty quick, as quick as they got me stabilized, they got me to Shands. I got to Shands, don't remember what happened. My wife told me I had 5 surgeries in 4 days. And they kept me open because I kept having bleeds. But you know, it's just amazing that I'm here. You know, I thank God every day I'm here.
Yeah, and you know, people, when we talk about miracles, a lot of people think it's just biblical things. But you know, Chris, and you know this, you're a walking miracle, but God performs miracles every day. We may not give him, you and I do, but many people don't give him the credit for doing that, but he's still in the miracle business, isn't he?
Well, yes, sir. I tell everybody, I spoke at a couple of churches, you know, like I told you earlier, you know, I could break down and cry, but I'm gonna try to be strong. But I tell everybody where I speak, know God. You walk out the door, something can happen to you just like that. We have a deputy here, Deputy Justin Shirley. You know, you would never think anything happened to Justin. Justin always was riding bike, running, doing triathlon. He was always in shape, not an ounce of fat on him. He fell with a heart attack. And I think it's because of the grace of God he's still here. But you know, he went home within about a week and a half. I was in the hospital 9 weeks and stayed on my back 45 days. Had to learn to walk again, and still don't walk that very well, but I'm walking. You know, you got to walk before you run, is what everybody tells me. But you know, it's just one of these things that God, you're not prepared for. But like I say, you better know God.
Yeah, we were talking about our children, grandchildren, before we started this interview, and you and I agree on this. It don't matter what they do in life, if they want to drive a trash truck, if they want to be a sheriff's deputy, whatever they want to be, but to know Christ, that their salvation is secure, is really not all we care about, but that's the number one thing we care about, isn't it?
Yes, you know, before the wreck, I probably didn't think much about that. And like I said, I didn't see no lights. I died twice. I don't remember seeing no lights, no nothing. I just remember waking up with Shands. I told somebody, I said, I hope that's not a bad sign that I didn't see no lights or anything. But you know, it was God's will that I did live. For whatever reason, He kept me here. And those years, I just want to be productive to let people know what I went through. You know, I don't know, there's probably people been through worse than I did to make it. But, you know, I was told by the people there that was at the hospital, you know, if he makes it, he's going to be very lucky. And, you know, I'm not going to take nothing away from my strength or anything like that, but I got my strength to want to will through God.
Yeah. And I do believe God gives us a will to live.
Right.
We have that in us to fight and to not. I know you have no fear of dying, but I had a preacher one time at Bethlehem, which is where you got married,
Yeah.
of all the places, so in my home church. But he said, Brother Tommy Pullum, he said, you know, I'm not scared to die, but if you're getting up a load right now, I don't want to jump on it. And I feel the same way.
Well, you know, the biggest thing is I want to be around for my family.
Yes.
And, you know, there's going to be a time that I die. But I hope, like you said, I don't want to ride this bus, but I want to be another bus on down the road. But, you know, Kenny Butler told me one time, he said, you know, when you die, it's just like sleeping. There ain't nothing to it. Yeah. I said, you know, I think I understand what Kenny Butler, because I do not remember anything. I could have stayed, you know, dead or whatever. And I hope that the reason that God kept me here was because I need to tell a story.
Yes.
It's just one of them deals to where you feel not only lucky but blessed, and that's the only way I can describe it. But being blessed is being, and you know, like I said, every time I talk to these guys and they get around, I talk to Pine Forest. We had, you know, they did a little thing for me. I didn't know it was law enforcement day, but they gave me a plaque. And I was very appreciative of the plaque. Plaque means a lot to me, but you know, without that plaque, I still live. I told every one of them people in that room, they're all law enforcement EMTs, look, know God. Mm-hmm. You can walk out that door and die dead right now. And you know God. You know, and that's the only thing I can really keep saying is just you better know God. You better be prepared, because you never know when anything. I'm not saying I wasn't prepared to die, but I feel like now that I need to be more prepared, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But it's just, James, I don't know how to explain it.
But do you find yourself, you know, I've always known you were a Christian, but do you find yourself sharing Christ more now or less?
Oh yeah, that's the only reason I'm here now. That's the only reason I live now, I think, is because everybody says, God's got a plan for you. Yeah.
Well, He had a plan for you. You know, in Jeremiah, God says, even before you was in your mother's womb, I had a purpose for you. So even before we were thought of, even before our mothers conceived us, God had a purpose for us. So, and your purpose for many, many years has been, and you've served in all kind of roles with the county, not only here at the Sheriff's Department, but you've been driving a bus for the band for how many years?
Well, my daughter was, I think since she was in the 8th grade, and she's 30, 31, 32 now. And every year I drove the band bus, and this was the first year that I didn't get to do it. And you know, that's like coming back to work. I knew I wanted to come back to work because, like you told me about your dad, you know, the reason he just made it so far and he's so healthy now, he kept going. I want to keep going so I can do things. Yeah. You know, I told the sheriff was gracious enough to let me come back. I had to get a release from the doctor. Can't drive right now, I can't carry my weapon, but we're gonna get that taken care of. I'm gonna get past them goals. But I told him, I said, you know, Sheriff, I appreciate you very much for bringing me back. and let me work on my desk, because I got, as you see, I got plenty to do. But the thing I wanted, I told him, I said, look, I'm going to start in low gear. Sooner or later, I may get high gear and we'll get it going again.
Yeah.
My name's Chris Bracewell. I'm a captain of the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. Me and my brother was going down to Thomasville to fly in, and somehow or another went across the stop sign, truck hit us, T-boned us. He got a couple bruises and I got the worst of it. I've coded twice, broke 8 ribs, had a punctured lung, lacerated my liver, lacerated my kidney. Me and my wife was up in Macon. We was talking about it. We knew we needed to get closer to home. I knew this was a good place to come. Other than home, I was told this was one of the best rehabs in the nation. So I wanted to come home, come here. Couldn't walk good, really couldn't walk at all without a walker. I had to have help doing everything. Now I'm more independent. I can get up. With a little help, I can get up by myself. I can get on a walker and walk by myself now. Support and prayer has saved my life. I've had plenty of support and plenty of prayer at the sheriff's office and in the community. But I owe all that to Nilo. Nilo worked with me good. I love him because he's always singing. He's always talking. I love Nilo. He's got an attitude about everything. His personality. He's just great to work with. I would recommend Fairview Park Hospital rehab anyone. They've done wonders for me. I see other people in there. They're working with them real hard. Got real good people working there, and the people that's there, they care. I appreciate everything that everybody's done. Appreciate the sheriff for what he's done. Appreciate just everybody for what they've done. We've had an outpouring of help, outpouring of people calling, an outpouring of people coming, and I just appreciate everything everybody's done.
Good to see you, buddy.
Appreciate y'all.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back right after this.
Hi, I'm Tom Dominy. Here at W. Nelson, we pride ourselves on providing the industry's highest quality products at the most competitive pricing. We are a full-service wholesaler specializing in plumbing, irrigation, and industrial products. With a staff that collectively offers more than 50 years of expertise, our team knows your industry, and we can answer your questions and help you get the parts and equipment you need. From Moen to Renee, we carry the plumbing, irrigation, and industrial products you need from the brands you trust. We also carry a great lineup of Milwaukee tools. At W. Nelson, our goal is the long-term success of your business. We achieve that goal with a simple commitment, doing things right, one customer at a time. If you have a question, or if you're looking for a hard-to-find part, give us a call. Our experts are ready to help. Order online, give us a call, or come by at 507 Airport Road in Dublin. We're committed to building long-term relationships with our customers by earning your business every day.
I've always sort of had my rudder pointed at public service. I was very grateful that I had the opportunity and was given the opportunity by our governor, Governor Kemp, to serve in this position. And as I said before, I feel like I'm providing valuable public service to the community. And I feel like I'm serving well. I would say that my private practice, which was based here in Dublin and took me to superior courts throughout the Dublin Judicial Circuit and some outside the Dublin Judicial Circuit, but being in private practice exposes you to not just criminal cases, not just civil cases, but a good mix of both. I'm confident to say that I've handled pretty much every type of case that comes before a Superior Court judge, and so that's allowed me, as I said before, to hit the ground running and to really not skip a beat in my transition from being an advocate and a lawyer to sitting on the bench and making decisions on behalf of the people of the Dublin Judicial Circuit. I will also add that I was previously municipal court judge for the city of East Dublin. I did that for about a year and a half, and I have previously served as an administrative hearing officer for the Department of Community Health for the state of Georgia. And so I do have prior judicial experience, and I have made decisions. I have analyzed the law and applied it to the facts of the cases that have come before me in the past, so I feel like I have the experience it takes to effectively get this job done. I believe that I have demonstrated that I can capably and competently handle this job, and I believe that I deserve to be elected a full term as a Superior Court judge.
Our Southwest family loves Captain Bracewell. We're so glad he's going home. Awesome.
Welcome back, everybody. If you just joined us, I'm talking to Chris Bracewell. We're here at the Lawrence County Sheriff's Office. Matter of fact, we're in his office right now filming this, and if you just joined us, we'll air this again, or you can go to our YouTube channel at TV35 and watch it anytime you like, or share it with whoever you want, because it's quite a testimony. So make sure you watch the entire show. You was talking a little while ago, Chris. It made me think. We don't think about dying when we get up in the morning. You know, if you get my phone out from over here off camera, and I got different things. I got Chris Bracewell at 10 o'clock this morning. I got other things throughout the day, but I don't have in there at 3 o'clock this afternoon have a heart attack and die.
No, you don't. You never know. You know, the only thing I say is be prepared, because you never know when it's going to happen. You know, one thing I may have mentioned, I'm going to mention again, this county's been great to me. The people in this county have been great to me. The sheriff has been good to me. Everybody I work with has been very, very good to me. I feel like a baby sometimes the way they treat me, but you know, I know they're just trying to fill me out, see what I can do, what I can't do. But as far as my mind, I'm good in my mind. If I get my motor skills going good, I'll be good. But you know, I had a TBI. I think I've mentioned this. I lost a little bit of my speech. I got my speech back. I lost my short-term memory. I'm getting that back. And I lost my ability to balance. And the doctors told me, you know, I'd get it back. But I'm so impatient that I worked hard to try to get everything going so I could come back to work. You know, this job, I was gone for 6 months. This place continued to work without me. Don't get me wrong, but I felt that I needed to get back to work. Not only for me, like you said, there's been a lot of things, and I take it for granted, and you just don't understand. I don't understand the people in this county, what I've done, for what they say. You remember when you did it? I don't remember all this stuff, but I can tell you this. You know, in my heart, I didn't forget it. Because, I treat people like I want to be treated. As long as they do what they're supposed to do. And, you know, I've had to put people in jail. I've had to fight with people. But it was because I had to. It wasn't because I wanted to.
That's right. Wasn't your choice.
No, it wasn't my choice. But my job was to keep the public safe and do my job by making sure I stayed within the law while I did it. You know, you see all these cop shows and all this, and it's great to watch all these guys, but you know, in their hearts, I'm sure they're just doing what they know to do. You know, it's just one of these deals where after you get into it, it's in your blood, and you don't want to leave it. And I didn't want to leave this job right now. I got to go when I want to leave, but it's not now.
Yeah. Well, you've worn a lot of hats. I'll stick with the sheriff department, but one of the things that I've seen you do really good, which I've seen you do a lot of things good, but the Champs program.
Yes.
You've touched a lot of lives. Talk about that, and when you run into people in the community that you taught Champs when they were little and now they're grown, that sure dates us, don't it? But how does that feel when you run into them and they say, "Do you remember me?" And then they go into going through that program.
I've had many kids come up to me afterwards. But you know, what gets me is when you're in the store and you see Mama getting on a child, all right, I'm gonna get him to lock you up. That kind of gets to me a little bit. You know, you want to try to, hey, you don't want the police to be scared, or you to be scared of the police. You want to know that they're there to help you. And you know, we talk about this all the time about being in the store or something, seeing Mama getting on. Hey, police officer's coming to get you. He's gonna take. I don't like that. You know, I want them to. You know, even if they're messing up in the store or they need help, and I can talk to them, I'd like to be able to do that rather than them threatening them to take me, or maybe take them to jail, and you know, things like that. Just I've done that a lot. I'm sure these kids at Champs. And I started there back in about 96, 97. And from that point on, we went to Champs. And they're both drug education. And Champs goes into safety, four-wheel safety, boating safety, all kind of things. And, you know, I enjoy talking to the kids. I really enjoyed it. And, you know, some of the kids, I'll say, like, I go to Trinity. These kids, when you get them there, it's always thank you, yes, sir. You know, and then now you get some classes from other places that you have to work with, but you know, you try to work with them best you can. And I enjoyed it very much. And like you said, I've had some kids come up to me, like they had to tell me the name, or you know, they change after they grow up, tell me the name, or you were my dare teacher, or you were my Champs teacher, and you know, that feels good to be able to do that. But you know, then on the other side, I've had some of the kids that we've had to lock up. They didn't make the right choice. That's what we want to do in these classes, is teach these kids they have choices, and they have to make the choices that brings the best result. And you know, that's the biggest thing we want to do, is teach these kids to make good choices. And if they want to be a productive citizen, they have to make good choices.
Yeah, amen. We all do, but yeah, arresting someone is a small part of what a law enforcement officer does.
That's right.
To protect and to serve and teach and you know, during the course of any shift, any law enforcement officer wears many hats, don't they, Chris? They may wear a judge's hat, a lawyer's hat, a custodian's hat, you know, so many hats.
You know, you talk about things that reminds me of things. Yes, we have to be a counselor. We have to be, like you said, lawyers. And these lawyers get mad because we try to get people, you know, they come to us for information. We do the best we can do to give them the right information we can. And usually most of these deputies, and we know what we're talking about because they've experienced it or they've seen it. But it's just like you said, I've done a lot of things in the sheriff's department. I was over investigators, I was over the road patrol, the traffic unit. Then I came and, which I've always taught Champs or Dare during those years. But now I'm over the school resource officers. I'm closer with the kids. You know, it's just amazing how many teachers I've seen. Hey, these kids are ready to see you. When are you coming back? Just as soon as I can, I'm coming back.
Well, why? You know, everybody has good days, everybody has bad days, but no matter where I see you, it may be at a football game at West Lawrence or East Lawrence or wherever, or at a funeral or many places I see you, but I've never seen you in a bad mood. How do you control that?
My wife could tell you different.
I'm sure she could. She lives with you.
And my daughter, my daughter's just like me. She can't, you know, and I see me a lot in my daughter, the way she acts. But, you know, I'm not saying I'm a perfect person. I'm not perfect, but I try to be nice to people. You know, after the wreck and when I came back, Bill Harrell, he used to go out that back door when he was a deputy. I worked with him when he was a deputy. and he'd always look. He said, "Y'all be careful. I love you." Means more to me now.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, and with that, you've worked for many sheriffs.
I've worked for 5 sheriffs, and that's kind of really unusual, and that makes me feel good because I started with Ronnie, then Charlie was intern, then Kenny come up, Bill. Now I got Larry. I'm tired of training sheriffs.
Yeah, ain't that the truth?
I'm tired of
I hope they
training.
paying you comp pay for training all them sheriffs. So.
But every one of them I work with has a great points, and I'm not gonna say I haven't been mad with any of them or whatever, but I know who the boss is.
Yeah. And you hit on it a minute ago, Chris. None of us are perfect. This side of heaven, we're not going to be perfect. We're fallible men that we make mistakes, and as good as we try to live, I still fall short. All the time I fall short.
I fall short every day, James.
Yeah.
Every day, there's things I'm sure.
But you said it a while ago, while off the air, but talking about God's grace, it's incredible to think that, Lamentations tells us that His mercies are new every day. Right. Now that's comforting to me.
Oh yeah, the biggest thing I can tell you about Christ and Jesus is no matter what you do, you can always pray and get forgiveness. And some people might have to do a lot of praying. I don't know. I pray as much as I pray. I hope I'm doing right. Even laying in my bed at night, I might close my eyes and pray and hope things get better, or hope somebody gets better, or things in general gets better. This country's in a mess, James.
Yes.
And our leaders, we need to be praying for our leaders. Amen. To make the right decisions. But everything that's talked about in Revelations, I can see happening now.
It's prophecy. There's no doubt. And that's why we want to be here for our grandkids and our kids and these kids in the schools, or the kids maybe on your bus when they're driving. They're seeing, and when they look at you or the things we do, we may be the only church they ever see.
It could be. Like you said, I go to a lot of safety programs with the bus, and your dad can say this. That bus driver, when he sees that kid, that might be the only smile he gets all day long. Yeah. You never know. You never know, and like you said, I feel like I may have touched people, but everybody can touch somebody. Everybody, just being nice to people, they can remember you being nice to people, and that's what I try to do. I try my best to be nice. Like I was saying a while ago, when I came back out of the hospital after knowing that I died, I made a commitment to myself. Every time I see somebody, I'm gonna try to say, "How you doing?" If I know them, I want to try to talk to them, and it's just one of them deals where I want to try to make a bond with everybody I see, whether it's just for a few seconds or a few days, a few years. I want to know people because, like I said, things change. You won't, before I'd look at a person, I wouldn't think anything about them. Every time I look at a person, that's a life. Amen. That's a life. And I realize how precious life is now.
One of my favorite hymns of all times, when we all get to heaven. Yeah. I love singing that hymn, and you think about that, Chris, and I truly believe when we get to heaven, because we're known by our fruits here on earth, but when we get to heaven, there's going to be people coming up and say, "Chris, Mr. Bracewell, James, do you remember when you did so and so? You remember when you helped me that day? You remember you put me in a warm room? Or you remember in Champs, you knew I was messing up and you helped me?" Well, I got saved a few years later. And we're going to have all eternity to be able to visit with people and to serve God. But I truly believe there's going to be a lot of people that's going to be coming up to us and saying that.
Well, I hope so. That's one of my goals, is to make sure I live my life to where, like I said, I'm not perfect by no means, but I want to try to live my life. I'm not going to try to set an example. I want to go to heaven. I know everybody does, but I just want to make sure that I touch as many people as I can, and it's just one of them deals where I don't know, James. It's hard to explain things sometimes when I see people, especially when I see people I know, I'm gonna talk to them. I'm gonna say something to them. I want to say something. How you doing? Or you know, I tell you what, my wife got tired of taking me to Walmart.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted, especially before I got to this point where I was walking on a walker, everybody come up and talk to me, and I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know, I enjoyed it. I didn't want pity by no means, but it did. People talking to me lifted me up. It made me feel better.
Yeah. And God was working even then.
That's right. That's exactly right.
Even then. Well, we're going to take another break. We'll come back right after this.
Hi, I'm Dr. Dustin Gay. I'm a local orthopedic surgeon with Houston Clinic Orthopedics, and we'd really like to invite everybody to come out to our new office facility to take a look at it. It's a larger space with physical therapy, and we're just excited to have it, and we'd love for people to come out and visit us.
Come by and see us today at our brand new location, the Houston Clinic, Medical Drive in Dublin.
Spring has sprung and inventory is popping up everywhere at Dublin Chevy GMC. Whether it's a Canyon or an HD Silverado, we have what you're looking for. With rates as low as 2.9 for 72 months, come pick your Silverado or Sierra. Or if you're looking for a full-size SUV, we have a great selection of Yukons and Tahoes. Remember to visit MyDublinChevrolet.com for all your sales or service needs. Remember, Don sells cars and trucks well, only at Dublin Chevy GMC.
Hello, I'm Jared Mathis, candidate for Lawrence County District 3 Commissioner. We're out here at the W.H. Bud Barron Airport, which is a welcome mat to all business into Dublin. It's vital that the county commissioners keep the airport in a presentable and working order at all times, as we never know who may come in and out, and this is the first impression that they get when they're coming to do business in Dublin and Lawrence County. Also, other items on my agenda is to keep improving public safety. We have great public safety departments, and I want to make them even better. Our first responders are second to none, and Lawrence County is revered among all surrounding counties as having one of the best group of firefighters, the best sheriff's department, and the best EMS department, one of the best of those in the state. And we must keep continuing to improve those type services. One thing I would love to do, our ambulances right now are all currently located in the city, and I want to keep those ambulances right there in the city. The city residents have a lot of calls, and they need those ambulances, but our ambulances are stretched thin. So we need to add additional ambulances and additional personnel, and we need to place strategically some of those units out in the county. I'll work as a county commissioner to secure the funding and make sure we have the pay in line with other surrounding agencies to be sure we can make that happen. So perhaps we can get an ambulance to your community. My goal as a Lawrence County Commissioner is not only to just look after District 3, but I want to look after the county as a whole. Because if the county as a whole is successful, District 3 will also be successful. I also have plans to get with local developers. Let's see what we can do to bring in more residential construction to Lawrence County. I have been in the construction industry for over 20 years, same as the amount of time I've been in the fire department, and I can tell you residential construction drives business. It creates jobs, it gives subs jobs, it creates people in your restaurants, it brings people in from out of town, people spend money. Construction makes an economy, especially a local economy, thrive. We need to get more residential construction in Dublin and Lawrence County so we can help our residents achieve the American dream of home ownership. Please go to the polls on Tuesday, May 21st and cast your ballot for Jared Mathis, District 3 County Commissioner. I will certainly appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Continuing my conversation with Chris Bracewell. I want to talk about Kyle Dinkeller. Happened 26 years ago, and probably to people like you that served here, probably like yesterday as far as recalling it. But tell me about that day and where you was and what happened that day when it come to Chris Bracewell.
Well, first of all, Kyle was a good little guy, and you know I used to pick at him all the time, just pick at him. And I remember one time he called me and said, "Hey, Bracewell, can you come by my house?" "Yeah, what you need? Just come by." He come out there and he laid his little arms on my right there at the windowsill of my car. He said, "Are you mad with me?" I said, "Why do you think?" He And he said, I said, Kyle, I'm just picking at you. I don't mean nothing by it. But, you know, he took that to stride that I was picking at him. And I'm glad he did that before he did get killed. That I let him know, look, dude, I'm just picking at you. I don't mean nothing by it.
Well, it's a form of affection.
Yeah.
That's why we pick on people.
Well, and some of the things was I picked him about was, you know, just be safe. You know, if he do something stupid or whatever. When we all do.
Yes.
And I was older than him. And, you know, I got picked on when I was started here.
You done the same things a lot of times.
I done the same thing. But Kyle come to that windowsill that night and told me that, and it kind of hit me a little bit. And you know, I didn't pick on him no more. Yeah. But you know, I tried to try to be a little nicer to him, I guess. But you know, my daddy raised me rough. I'm not gonna lie to you. And I learned when I got to a certain age, I got back and looked back. I said, you know, I know why he was so rough on me now. I know why he was so rough. He wanted me to do better. And all my brothers will tell you the same thing.
Where were you that day?
I was at my house, ironing a shirt, getting ready to come to work, and I heard it go on. And Kurt Hartwell lived down the road from me, and he worked on the same shift with me. I said, hey, you hearing what's going on? Yeah. We got dressed. We come down here. You know, everything was already, you know, taped off and all. But we set up a perimeter to try to find out what was going on. After we found out about where to look, and we set up perimeters. And you know, that day, I guess we was out there all night, and we finally they finally caught Brandon up in the woods where we built a kind of makeshift cabin or something. But he, you know, Kyle was a great guy. He did, if you watch the video, he did not want to shoot that man.
No, he didn't.
He did not. He just did not want to shoot that man. And you know, like they said, Kyle, you should have done it. You know, you can backseat quarterback everybody.
Amen.
But when you're on the spot, you do what you know to do. Kyle was just trying to talk to the man, and from what I understand, Brandon had served in Vietnam. Kyle had no experience of any kind of battles like that. And the only thing I can say about that is Brandon had been there, done that. Kyle was getting a lesson, and he, you know, it cost him his life. But Kyle did the best he knew to do. He was trying to talk that man down, and he turned on him. And you know, he knew what he was doing. Brandon knew what he was doing. And I think Kyle, being at his age, had a lot to play with. Because this man he didn't want a young guy telling him what to do. I think that had a lot to do with it. You know, there's a lot of variables you can plug in there, but that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, it was, Brandon was trained by the best military in the world.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that. But, you know, I was at the memorial in January talking to his dad. I did a show with his dad, matter of fact, and it was just as fresh that day.
Yeah, those are things you'll never forget.
No, it's just imprinted in your mind. Somebody watching right now and considering a career in law enforcement, what would you say to that person?
Well, James, I don't want to deny law enforcement. I've done it for 37 years. And I've done it right here in Lawrence County. I would not go to another area, would not go to Atlanta and try to do this job now, because it's a lot more dangerous. And you know, we had a couple of guys after Kyle got killed to quit and go to other jobs. They wound up back in law enforcement, but you know, it bothered them. You got to be prepared to accept whatever happens. You got to be prepared. Like I said, know God. You got to be prepared. Now, for people that want to get in this job, it's a great job. You know, when I started this job, I told my wife, I said, you know, let's not screw up. I ain't got to worry about no layoff. We're going to always need police officers. And, you know, I said, and she said, yeah, you know, you're right. I worked about 13 years of shift work, nights, days. And you learn a lot at night. It's a lot quieter sometimes. But, you know, law enforcement today has changed. When I say that, even young kids that don't have guns have got guns now. Yeah. And you have to, you know, if you got a 13-year-old and you got a gun pointed, and they got a gun pointed on you, are you going to be able to do what you need to do? You know, that's one thing I'm going to tell you. Your mindset. Now, still, you got to be nice to people, and you got to be cordial to everybody, but you also got to have that edge to where if something's going on, you better react. And for people that's getting in law enforcement now, it's a good job. It's a good job. It's a rewarding job, but you have to be ready to accept the consequences. You know, you might not get tied up in much lawsuits. You know, things you do, even if you do them right, you're going to be scrutinized on them. So things, you got to think about things like that. Somebody that wants to get in law enforcement, that's what they got to want to do. They got to want to do it. And again, things have changed since I come in. And I remember riding around this county. There wasn't no subdivision set up. I can ride around this county now. There's subdivisions set up here I don't even know about. You know, and knowing the people, and that's another thing that kept me here. I know the people. You could give me a last name like Deal. They're from the east side over there. Mm-hmm. You know, just give me a last name, and I could just about tell you, I can't do that no more. Can't do it no more. Not because of my memory, but because there's so many more people that's come in and moved around. But used to, I tell the kids in class, hey, tell me what's your name? You from over there? Yeah, how you know? I just know. And a lot of them I knew their mom and dads, but you know, it's just amazing how this county has changed.
It's grown since we were little.
It has grown.
You grew up on the west side, me on the east side, but back then, we knew just about everybody, or the brother, the uncle, the daddy. You know, we knew the family.
I remember when we come to town on 441. You get the interstate. I remember the only station that used to be on the right was the one that belonged to Domini. Mm-hmm. Remember that? Yeah. Wasn't nothing, and look how it's grown up now. Yeah. And it's still growing right now. Still growing.
It's incredible, and I know you remember. I remember when they cut that road. We called it the roller coaster road, but between Claxton Dairy and out at the mall, Highway 80, they cut Hillcrest through there.
Right.
It was nothing but woods.
Right.
And now look at it. That's in our lifetime, Chris.
Yeah, and it's like you just said, talking about our grandkids. I kind of wonder, should I feel sorry for my grandkids, what they're growing up to see? Yeah. You know, gas is $3.40-something a gallon now. Mm. When I remember it being 80-something a gallon. Yeah. Now my brothers, they can remember, hey, I remember when it was 40-something a gallon. But you know, things change, the economy, that's gonna be a big deal, is the economy. You come in, what you're gonna be faced with. You know, you have people that's desperate to have money to do things, and that's causing a lot of crime. Yes. You have money people just want money, and it takes more of it to buy now. I remember I'd go to Walmart, get out with less than $100. It's $200, $250 before I get out now. Yeah.
And ain't got as much.
As you used to would have.
If we're going to survive, we just got to cut back, fasten speaking of the government, we can't print money. No. If me and you make $100 this week, we can't spend but about 50 because we're going to have to save the other 50.
That's right.
For whatever.
You know, my sister-in-law talked to me the other day. She said, you know, you tax when you make money, you tax when you spend money, and you tax at the end of the year on your money and with your property that you have. Yeah. And, you know, to me, that's a lot of taxing.
It is. And you never really own your house. Even when you pay for it, you got all the property tax. They can take you property just for not paying the property taxes. Right. So.
And, you know, people, biggest thing I can tell you, you know, the question that you asked, what would I tell people that's wanting to get into law enforcement? Make sure that's what you want to do. Just make sure you're prepared for whatever happens. You know, law enforcement, like I tell you, is not for everybody.
No, it's not for the faint at heart.
No. I remember Kip. You remember Kip Brown?
Oh, yeah.
And Kip, I was there right after the wreck happened. And Kip, you know, that's the first time I had to go through anything like that. And he died from a car wreck. Yeah. And you know, not only do you have the most dangerous thing you got to work with is that car. That's about a 4,000-pound bullet that you have to work with, and you have to be careful on the roads. Have to watch everybody else. Ride motorcycle. When I ride my motorcycle, or when I rode my motorcycle, I had to watch for other people, make sure they were doing what they were supposed to do, make sure they didn't pull out in front of me. You know, things like that. people getting in law enforcement now, it's a job that you got to want to do.
Yeah. And driving that car, and I see it almost every day, sitting there at the TV station, I'll hear the sirens and sheriff cars headed over to the east side, something's happened. Well, I immediately start praying.
Yeah.
I don't know where they're going, but I'm praying for that guy driving that car. And I'm praying, yeah, and they're maneuvering, you know, and they're driving fast because somebody needs them wherever. It could be in Rockledge, you know, it could be way out Highway 80, getting out towards Scott, and they got to get there because somebody's called 911 and somebody's in need of help. So,
well, I remember one time I was part of that. I had to get somewhere one day. At that time we had that little Mustang. I was driving the Mustang that day, and I got there, and the lady just lit in me because it took me so long to get there. Well, when I got to the office, Kenny called me in the office and said, hey, I just got a complaint, you was driving fast. So, you know, either way, you can't win for losing sometimes. And it was funny to me. I said, you know, Sheriff, that woman chewed me out because I didn't get there fast enough, and you're getting them too because I got there, I mean, I was getting there too fast. And I said, you know, it's kind of funny. Kenny didn't realize what was going on, but when I told him what was going on, he said, okay, no problem. Yeah. But it's amazing. People don't really want the police around, but when they want them, they want them.
That's right. That's right. We're going to take one more break. We'll come back and wrap things up.
I graduated from West Lawrence High School in 1994, and my first love was agriculture. I was not focused on college and never thought about law school. I was focused on farming and driving tractors and being outside and watching crops grow at harvest time. That's where my love was at. I did that for about 4 or 5 years after high school. And I knew that I always wanted to have something to do with agriculture, but I needed to get a degree. So I went back to school and to college, and I got a 4-year degree. I took a job as a probation officer. Now, during that 4 or 5 year time, I got my CDLs and drove a truck. In fact, I'm probably the only attorney around here that has CDLs and still drives occasionally. But I took that job as a probation officer, and I did that for about a year, and I decided I wanted to go to law school. I did not fit the cookie-cut mold of what a law school student should be or they think should be. I was not a traditional student. I was a non-traditional student because I was married at the time and I had worked in the workforce. So I went to law school at night, driving 3 days a week from Lawrence County to Atlanta at night for 3.5 years. That's how I got my law degree. I was not born with common knowledge, and none of us are. We are not born knowing that fire is hot and ice is cold. We're either taught that or we observe that. Knowledge is gained through events and experience. I told you that my slogan was experience matters, but that does not just go for legal experiences. It goes for real life experience. I have real life experience. Our court system needs a judge to bring to the bench real life experience. A judge that can relate to the common working man or woman. A judge who understands that not every job is 9 to 5 and not everybody just works 40 hours a week. A judge who recognizes that people do live paycheck to paycheck. A judge that will look at all the circumstances and all the facts and consider all of that in the ruling. If you feel the way I feel, I'm asking for your vote for Superior Court Judge of the Dublin Judicial Circuit. Please vote Bradford Childers for Judge.
All right, boys, if you want to go to college, you have to clear out another one of these.
What if we told you there was a better way to save for your kids' college than pickle jars? Morris Bank's Savings Builder account and Moolah makes saving for your kids' college easier than ever. All you have to do is connect the account to your debit card, where it automatically rounds up your purchases to the nearest dollar, depositing that spare change into a Moolah account where it will grow into a nice little nest egg for whatever your kids have their sights set on.
Hi, I'm Michael Wheelis with Dublin Piggly Wiggly, inviting you to come in and shop with us today. We've got a great lineup of produce, groceries, and fresh meats, including pork, beef, and chicken. Come shop with us today where we cut fresh every day. Don't forget, our butchers are always ready for any special cuts. Call ahead and we'll be glad to get it ready for you today. Dublin Piggly Wiggly, your authorized certified Angus beef dealer.
Hello, my name's Jeff Davis, and I'm asking you to re-elect me as your County Commissioner for District 3. In my time on the Board of Commissioners, I've been the taxpayer's watchdog. As a result, property taxes are 1/2 of surrounding counties, and we have a healthy surplus. Public safety, infrastructure and equipment, economic development, and quality of life have been and will always be my top priorities. Please vote for me, Jeff Davis, for County Commissioner, District 3. Thank you, and God bless.
Welcome back, everybody. We're going to wrap things up. We were talking about people that might want to have a career in law enforcement, and you gave some really good advice. And I want to continue on it for just a minute. Johnny B. Hall told me one time, he and I were visiting, I was about to do an interview with him at the funeral home, and I said, tell me, Johnny B., people tell me you'd give your mama a speeding ticket if she was speeding. He said, well, I don't know about that, James, but I will tell you this. You made me think of this a while ago. He said, if I pull my mother's car over, I would do everything I was trained to do. He said, because somebody could very well be in there holding her at gunpoint. So he said, I would approach the car the same way. I'd do what I was trained to do. And you know, I've thought about that a lot since he told me. This is several years ago, I guess. But you've got to do what you're trained to do, even if you pull me over and you say, well, that's James right there. I recognize his car. You still got to do what you're trained to do, don't you?
Yes, I mean, you know, I don't know, you know, if I pull James over, I don't know what kind of frame of mind you might be.
No.
You never know. Johnny B was a good friend. I love Johnny B. He was a good guy. But now, he did his job. There's no doubt about it. But now, I'm not going to say every time I stop anybody, I had to give them a speeding ticket. You know, my daughter, I'm telling on my daughter, she got stopped the other day by one of the Dublin police officers. And she called me, or he got on the phone. He said, "You're Chris's daughter?" I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, I got a speeding over here. What do you want me to do?" I said, "You tell her to tell you what I told her to tell you if you ever got stopped." And I could hear her back. He told me to tell you to write me a ticket. But you know, my daughter, you know, we're not exempted from the laws. I'm not exempted from law. But you know, people take for granted some of this. You know, when you get stopped, they like you said, the officer's doing what he's trained to do. You know, a lot of people say, "Why didn't they touch the trunk?" Well, it leaves a fingerprint there that if that something happens, that car's found, that it proves that officer was there at that time. But we wear body cameras now. Like you mentioned, well, cameras can hurt you or help you, but they help us more than they hurt us. I used to watch videos, people call complaining, and they'd say the officer did this, did that. You watch it, where'd that happen at? Or you watch it, why'd you do that? Why'd that officer, you know, why'd you do that? So they can hurt you or help you. But one, I'll tell you this, I would not do a job without a body cam on now, because people are so law happy. You know, while I was sick, I watched a lot of football games. In them football games, I've seen a lot of lawyers advertising. A lot of lawyers wanting to get somebody, and you know, I guess it's just natural now for that to happen. It's just our culture. But lawyers, I see them on TV all the time. Hey, you in a wreck, call us. You know, these body cameras have saved us a bunch of times. They've saved in the cars. They saved us a bunch of times. And they've hurt us a couple of times too now.
Yeah, Bill Harrell had told me several stories about people calling, complaining about what that deputy did, and he'd call the people in, and he'd say, now show me where that happened. And they'd be just shocked. He told me one guy in particular, he told me who it was, but said he was just like that deer in the headlight look, you know, like, oh, you got video? He didn't know. And you know, we talk about telling the truth. You know, we were talking off camera a while ago, but Abraham Lincoln was quoted as saying he wasn't smart enough to tell a lie, because you're always trying to, you got to cover it with a lie and cover it with a lie, and eventually, and you should do it up front, just come clean, like your daughter. You told her, telling to write me a ticket, just come clean. I messed up, and you don't pull people over for no reason.
No, and people think, you know, profile, and people used to think we had to, I'm not going to say that people don't, officers don't profile, but there's other things going along with it when they see it. But it's hard for me to say that I can let that car go by when I think something's going on. You know, it's hard to say that, hey, there's something going on there, and then you let it go. Like you said with Johnny B. Johnny B said, I do everything by the book, because if I stop my mama, somebody might be in there with my mama trying to make her do something she's not supposed to do. And I don't know, James, it's just one of these deals to where cameras, I would not operate without a camera now.
Yeah, it saves you. You know, you and I were growing up in school. You remember the milk cartons.
Oh, yeah.
Had a police officer on it, and you remember it said, the policeman is your friend. And we knew if something happened, if we at the Martin Theater and something bad was happening, all we had to do was run to a police officer.
That's right.
We knew that was our security blanket, kind of like the Charlie Brown show with the kid Linus having the security blanket. And that was our security blanket, and it still is our security blanket, even though law enforcement's bashed and defund the police. But 2 o'clock in the morning, when that same person needs somebody breaking in the house, they need a police officer, they're going to be the woman that got upset because you didn't get there quick enough. Now, they want to defund you during the daytime, but during the nighttime when crime happens, they want you there to protect them. And you can have it both ways. You know, you have the right in America to, you got free speech. Now there's consequences to that speech, right. But you're still going, even if you know it's that person that's been out here boycotting Chris Bracewell, you still gonna run and try to help them and save their life if that's what it comes to.
Well, you know, I don't matter what someone does. If it comes down to it, they need a police officer. They're coming, whether they like it or not. And you know, I've had a bunch of police. I've had one call in particular. This man was going to kill another man, and his wife called. I went down there and I knew them both, and I talked to them. And one of them said, well, one was getting down there. He didn't say much to me, but the other guy said, "Hey, Chris, we're fine. Everything will be fine." And then that other guy spoke up and said, "We was taking care of our problem when you was in diapers." I finally looked at him. I said, "You know what? I'm not in diapers now. Yeah. I got to do a job, and I'm here to do a job." Yeah. And the guy that called us, he said, "Chris, we're going to be fine." And I took it for his word, and I left. But, you know, you come up with things like that. People don't want you there, yeah. And you got to be there because if I didn't go there that night and something happened, I've been neglecting my job. I've been, you know, and like I said, I knew both of them very well, and they had a problem, but they solved the problem. But I didn't know it was going to solve the problem. Yeah. All I know is I got a phone call from one of the wives and said, "Hey, you need to go down here. He's going down there to kill this man because something happened." I don't know what it was. And when I got down there, I could tell they were mad with each other. You know, they wasn't fighting. Mm-hmm. But, you know, you could walk up and size people up and tell what their mood's in. And he told me that. And then right before I got ready to leave, he looked at me. He said, "We was taking care of our problem when you was in diapers." I said, "I'm not in diapers no more." You know, and I got a job to do, and that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah, and that's what you're supposed to do. And before we close, I can't even imagine in your 30 plus years in law enforcement how many people you have worked with. And I mean worked with not only here, but you work with State Patrol, you work with DNR, you work with WPD, you work a lot of times with Twiggs or Trutland, or you and I had a situation, we were trying to solve a problem you had, and you had to drive all the way to Savannah, right, trying to solve this particular problem that I don't really want to get into details, but people don't think of that. You know, you're driving 200 miles round trip.
Well, you know, James, I'll tell you this, and this is something I wanted to say earlier. You know, we're here to help and do whatever we can for people. And like you said, some people don't realize what all goes on behind the back doors here. And there's been a couple of times, like you said, I don't know if this is the one you're talking about, but on the way back I just cried because of the situation. It's one of I lost my train of thought about what I was going to tell you, but law enforcement gets bashed, like you said, but when people need them, they don't get bashed. Like that woman, like I told you about that woman getting mad with me because I didn't get there fast enough. And then I got humped back. The same, you know, somebody called me saw me going there, and they called the sheriff complaining because I was going too fast. You know, so, and I said, well, boss, can't win for losing, can you? No. And he said, well, you just need to be careful now. I said, I'll do my best. I was going to the interstate, and this is what I was going to tell you a while ago. You was talking about going to different places and knowing people at this department. I tried my best to know people in the surrounding counties, who I could call, who I could depend on. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and throw the name out. Leon Jones. Leon calls me every now and then. Bracewell, what's going on over in Lawrence County? Leon, what's going on over in there? He said, y'all had a shoot. I said, we had a shoot, but y'all had about 5 last night. You tell me what's going on, you know, just things like that. But I try to make connections with people in different counties all the time, because we had one case that was happening here, and the investigator was here talking to me from his county. He just heard what was going on. He said, hey man, that's going over in my county. And come to find out, the same guy was going about 4 or 5 counties doing the same thing. And we would have never connected it if he wouldn't been here. And I was talking about it to somebody, and when he went down there with me, it was at Mullis Garage. And somebody was breaking in all the vending machines. And he looked at me and said, that's the same footprint over at my place. And things like that. Just networking and working together. You can't do nothing by yourself anymore. No. You got to have help. And networking with these other agencies has helped us tremendously.
Last thing, and it is a band of brothers, there's no doubt, but I was at Dylan Harrison's funeral looking at, there was hundreds and hundreds, I'd say several hundred cars and motorcycles and trucks, and I saw them from Arkansas. Yeah. I saw them from Virginia and Florida and all in between the states. Probably, if I threw a number out, I'd say at least 25 states.
Well, you know, the caisson that took him, the horses, I forgot where they come from, but they wasn't local. And, you know, it's bad. I told my wife when we was going home, they had me an escort. You know, it looked good. And I said, you know, I feel like I'm in my funeral, you know. Yeah. But, you know, there is a band, there's a tight band. And we try to look after each other. And the only thing I can really say is, you know, it's respect, a lot of respect. At Kyle Deco's, there was a lot of people from different agencies. And Dylan, you know, and it's tragic the way Dylan and Kyle had to leave this world. But I hate, you know, like we said, for some reason it's in God's plan. We don't understand what happens. We just have to try to deal with it. Yeah. And, you know, but I've had, like you said, Kentucky. I've had investigators I work with in Kentucky about a murder. And it's just amazing how close and networking can get officers. I have officers, well, I had people when I was in the hospital from other counties coming around and asking about me and seeing me. And, you know, it's tragic that an officer has to get killed or hurt for something like that to happen. But, you know, it's rewarding to that officer or to that family to see that support.
Yeah. And it's hard for us, and it is. It's beyond our understanding. It's we just have to lean on the Lord. We started that way, and we'll end that way. But that hymn we sing, leaning on the everlasting arms,
yes, sir.
And that's where we need to lean, and we need to lean in just as hard as we can, because the more we lean out, the more trouble we get in.
That's right. And I'm gonna tell you, my wife, I'm gonna brag on her. Just about every time the door swings at Rents Baptist Church, she's there. She keeps the nursery a lot, whether she's there with me or whatever. When I was working security at all the churches, I was at church, but I wasn't at my church. And, you know, I kind of started feeling guilty about it. I'm going back to my church now at Rents Baptist, and I'm telling you, it's just an amazing feeling to be back at Rents Baptist. And And you know, like you said, God is the answer to everything. And He's the reason I'm here. And I really know that. I know that for a fact. I tell anybody, hey, the only reason I'm here is because God got me here. He left me here for a purpose. Maybe it's His purpose here to share this information.
That's right.
But, you know, it changed me. I didn't talk about God as much as I did before. I'm sure spreading the word now.
Well, we got tens of thousands hearing it now, and if you are one of those people, I go to Bethlehem. You go, Brother Tom Van. I know you hear some good preaching every Sunday, but if you don't go to church, we'd love to have you at one of ours, or find you a good church. Get locked in, because we got a lot of good churches here.
Well, one of the churches I worked at was Pine Forest. Mm-hmm. They've been very good to me. I guess the reason is because every time I worked, I got to know the people. Hey, if somebody was walking up, I knew who they were. Those guys there that had to get in a wheelchair, I'd go out there and help them get the wheelchair out and get them going. You know, things like that. And by me giving them respect, they took, you know, I feel like kind of one of them. Yep. Christ Chapel's the same way. I work security there. I kind of feel like that. I've had so many people come talk to me from there. It's not even funny. But, you know, I miss my church, and I'm glad to be back in my church. But, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is be in a church somewhere.
Yeah, amen.
Somehow.
Amen. There's no doubt about it. You'll be better. Not that we're perfect. We're a long way from perfect, but when you know, iron sharpens iron.
That's right.
And that's one reason I go to church. And the second part of that is being with like-minded believers that like you're talking about, or even just somebody sick. The church lifts them up. We'll visit them. We'll do things, and because we need each other. And no matter where you go to church, we're all brothers and sisters in Christ.
Well, even if you don't go to church, we're still brothers and sisters in Christ. Those that don't go to church or don't go regularly, you need to do so.
Absolutely. Okay, brother. I appreciate you talking to me.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, James. I appreciate you too.
And no matter how you're watching us today, YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or right here on TV, we appreciate you watching us today.
I'm Marcus Clements. I worked with MetLife for many years. After retiring from MetLife, Darren and I began to talk about forming an insurance agency. So Darren and I in 1999 formed Clements & King Insurance. Probably worked harder after retiring than before.
Marcus and I decided to come together, and it has been great. Health insurance is a big area. There's a lot of facets to it. We try to be the place that you can start out young and grow old into the senior insurance that you need, and we cover every area of health insurance than life insurance.
Many are influenced by what they see on TV or what they see online. We provide an alternative to that. We have an office, and we try to help our clients navigate the confusing market of Medicare-related products.
What I would like for our clients to know, or our potential clients to know, that when you meet with us, we don't charge a fee for our service. And if you have a plan in place, and if it's better for you, we'll tell you that that's the plan you need to stay with. We're not going to push you towards something we have.
I do the Medicare-related insurance. I tell my clients that I've been 65 for 11 years. People normally get Medicare when they're 65. And what we do is provide insurance to supplement their base Medicare.
So I specialize in individual health insurance, or private policies, which is for people who do not have access to health insurance through their job or where they work. And I also specialize in group insurance for small businesses. The majority of small businesses are family businesses, and so we're a family business, and we understand the struggles that they have and the opportunities that they have. So we really enjoy working with them from one family to another.
55 years ago, when I started in the insurance business, never would I imagine that one day I'd be working with my son-in-law and I'd have the granddaughter coming in.
When I first started, I would sit in on several of the appointments with my granddad, and I witnessed many clients come in and they were just overwhelmed with the idea of senior insurance. And I have seen the way that my granddad, being so knowledgeable about it and being so personal and caring so much about the clients, he's able to just turn that around and they leave the office just with this weight off their shoulders. I have learned not just about insurance, but how to treat the people in our community and how to make sure that they know that we're there for them from the beginning of the sale until just the rest of our time with them as our client.
And so Allison is now with us. We're very excited about that. She is primarily focused on Medicare with Marcus, but she does a lot of life insurance.
So I work with clients of all ages. I have people my age who are just getting married and having kids and they want to get a policy on them or a whole life policy on their toddler to have as they age. But I also see clients that are older that are maybe looking for a final expense policy. I get to see clients at many different seasons of their lives.
I love to wake up in the morning and help people. And that's what we do. We don't just sell insurance, we help people.
The community has been very good to us, and Darren and I try our best to give back to the community.
We try our best to give back because we have been very blessed. The people of Lawrence County and the city of Dublin have received us well, and we're very grateful for that.
I just love Dublin. This has always been home for me. My dad and my granddad do what they love, and it's a blessing to join them in it.
We live here, we worship here, and we see our clients at the grocery store, or at church, or in the community, or downtown. We're here, we're local, and we service what we sell all year long. We'll continue to do that without charge, and just a big thank you to be able to live and work in this community.